it's going. So the whole video thing that you were talking about, like, I agree. Like, it's so hard to adjust to that like, you're not in person interacting with them.
Yeah, like even though it's, I don't know, like I've been Skyping with my parents for like 5 years ever since I moved from Winnipeg to Ottawa. And so it's kind of, there's a nice aspect of like being able to see someone's face.
Yeah.
But then there's always like, even after like you end the conversation, there's something missing there that you just can't get unless you're like face to face with someone. And it's like, I can't put like my finger on it, but it's like the way in which your like mannerisms or like how you like move and stuff is just like not captured the same way.
I 100% agree. I've been doing, like, just like you, I've been doing the same thing with my family there. Sorry for the noise in the background. That's just my dog going crazy. So with my mom and my brother, I've been doing the same thing for like, a long time. And it's not the same as when I go to visit them and we're in person and we're talking. And it's just like, there's something about physical presence that matters in communication. It's weird.
Yeah, or I was on a walk today with a couple of people I play volleyball with because we all live in and around the same area. And I'm like, it's just weird. Like, I'm not a big like touchy feely person, but even just like you put like, I don't know, your hand on someone's knee when you're talking to them, or just like near them. It's like, oh, it's like weird because there's like this physical distance. And so it's just, yeah, it's hard to like feel close to people when you're literally not close to them. So
it is strange. And like, I have seen, and people need it. Like, I think people need that connection. I'm noticing that because even neighbors, like, I'll go on walks and I do them and I'll see, oh, these people are talking to each other. They're having a beer, but they're keeping like 2-3 meters apart from each other. And I'm like, well, it's so needed for them, not only to be outside, but to feel the energy of that person around them, that that is preferable to doing it in the comfort of your house on your sofa in a video chat. Like, they would much rather.
There was I went for a huge walk yesterday, and there's like this old man sitting in his wheelchair, like adjacent to the path that runs right along the canal. And he just like shouted at me. He's like, "You have a beautiful smile." I'm like, "Oh, thank you." Strange man that I don't know. But it was like actually such a nice, like, he was like just giving me compliments. I'm like, well, I just feel great about myself. But it was also like, we ended up having like a 5-10 minute chat as I was on my walk, and just like, yeah, like I feel like people really long to have that connection with other people that they just can't get. Because we're lucky we can video chat, but for lots of people, they just don't know how it works, or they don't have access to that stuff. And so that would make it, I couldn't imagine.
Yeah, I've done this. So this will be the third one. And Adele and Jamie both didn't have Zoom, and they had to install it. So like, it's just kind of like, yeah, people talk about in the news like Zoom and Google Meet and all of this, but it's not ubiquitous to everybody.
Yeah.
And on that note, welcome to the show, everybody. This is Getting to Know. And today we are on episode 3. Still crazy the amount of great reception that we received even with Adele's video recently. Today my guest is the lovely Erika, and she has been a member of the club since 2017. She's played on 11 teams. She has a good number of appearances, goals, and assists, which I'll put in the description down below. But the most notable thing about her is she is part of a very, very small group of females. I think there's only 2 or 3 in the whole club that have won the title of MVP. And she is only one of 2 girls to have won that title more than once.
Yay. So, I didn't even know that. That's cool.
Yeah.
I'm learning things about myself. That's nice.
Yeah, and those are awards as voted by the team. So it's even more like amazing. They're like, people really value you and think of you as a most valuable player. So that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, and I think it's also like, kudos to you. Thank you for putting all this on, which it is nice, but it's also like forming a culture of valuing all of the players on the pitch. And Steph and I played soccer on a number of teams before we kind of found this fit. And being the pylon on the pitch or like running around and not feeling like you are making a contribution makes it a very long game and a long season. So thank you to all of the people who make us welcome on the team and see our value out there. That makes it very fun to play and makes us want to come out there.
Yeah, I 100% agree. Like there's a big difference in teams that will fully use all the players on the team and those that don't. And one of the things that the teams all have in common, the co-ed teams that I run all have in common is that the personalities are suited to just being like, hey, everybody is here to play. Everybody has paid their share. Like everybody has the potential to contribute. And we're also blessed with having a lot of talented females. Like we have, we have some strong females that have played with us for years, some that came and went, some that just drop in once every season. Like it's fun. It's fun to have. Everybody loves having strong females, and it helps a lot.
I played a ton of co-ed sports. Like I played ultimate frisbee, I played soccer, I played volleyball, and I always say like the guys tend to cancel each other out generally, and then it's like really who the good teams from the great teams or whoever is going to be successful is who are the best girls on the pitch, which I think not everyone thinks about, but it's like realistically, there's lots of guys who are very good at soccer, but there's not always as many girls who either want to come out and play. Like I think that's a huge struggle is even finding any women who want to come out and play that aren't like the girlfriend of someone on the team who's like begrudgingly got cleats and is out there. It's like it's nice to have like girls who love the game and want to come out and play.
Yeah. And girls, like, to your point, like I've seen teams at the higher divisions that are composed of even number of girls and guys. Like there's a team that comes to mind. Their name is Team Excellent. They play Sundays over at the Leesdome or at Carleton University, and they've got some pretty strong females. And I think it's almost like a 50, it's a 40-60, whereas most teams it's 20-80 or 30 or 30-70. They have a 40-60, 50-50 split between males and females, and they do fairly well. Like they're a low end Division 1, high end Division 2 kind of team. So it's one of the things my brother always says to me is like, well, how strange is it that you play with girls? And I'm like, I don't find it that strange, because in Canada and in the United States, there's a big culture of strong females. Like in Chile, there isn't, right? Like you can even see that it was evident during the World Cup. Like there's no culture of females. There's not as much culture of females playing the sport as there is in North America. So there's a lot of talented, strong players here.
Yeah, it was so I like used to coach girls volleyball for really like 8 years because my dad still coaches, and so when I lived back home, I used to coach for a long time, and we had a lot of girls who were soccer players.
Right.
And I found it's actually been really nice to see, because it was kind of starting during like my generation, but now I'm like older. But like the girls younger than me, it's true. I'm like, I'm like not even the young person anymore. But like the girls coming up, there's like a lot more like promotion of like women in sport, and like having that it's an acceptable thing, and having university sport for women to come out and like more teams. And it's really nice to see, except for when they're way better than I am, and I'm like, can you like slow down so I can keep up with you? Because that would be great. I'm like, my old knees can't run that fast anymore.
Oh man, I know how you feel. I see some of the younger kids and I'm like, the only thing I have over you, sometimes I can keep up with their speed and intensity, and sometimes they're just in better shape. And I'm like, the only thing I have over you at this point is my decision-making ability, because yours is just not as developed. That's it. That's all I have right now. And I'm just going to exploit that to the fullest. But as we get older, we create more memories. And that is my awful segue into the first question, which is, what is your first memory with our club?
I was trying to rack my brain earlier on today because I couldn't think of like a definitive like moment of like, oh, this is me in this club now. And I think, I don't know, it's like kind of like been this like blend and blur of just enjoying playing, going out and playing soccer.
Okay.
I think I remember, so right before I joined the team, I had taken a break because Steph and I had played on this Wednesday team, and it was just terrible. These guys would just like boot it at your face because they had no control, or they wouldn't pass to you because I booted at your face and you couldn't control it. So why am I going to pass to you again? I'm like, it was
Uh,
very frustrating. So I was like, I'm going to take a hiatus from soccer. She found, I think like she found you guys like online with the footy
it was a
sevens,
forum. Yeah, it was a forum
the
post that she
forum.
replied to.
And so I think she had come out and played a season, and we always have lunch together because we work really like across the street. And she's like, Erica, you're gonna have to come out of retirement. Like, trust me, this is gonna be a good fit. You're gonna enjoy it. And I think I came out and I was pretty nervous to like come out because you don't know the people, and you're like, oh, I'm pretty rusty. I don't know if people will be like, oh, she's terrible. Like thanks for coming out. We'll see you again. But I think I just had a really great time, and it was a really awesome vibe. I'm like, oh, I could see myself like playing more with you guys. I think that was, yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing, and like that word of mouth, like that makes me feel personally good, because the club has a lot to be proud of in that sense. Like word of mouth and just people sharing with each other. Hey, these are all good people. This is good times. Come out, you'll have good times. Like that's the best compliment you can pay any organization. So like that's great. Like I love that.
Mm.
We'll go to the next memory then. What is your favorite memory with the club?
So I had a couple that I
Oh,
would like that I'm like I can't pick one because I've had it's been good times. One that I thought it was the Swifty versus Swifty game
oh yeah,
during week,
yes.
which I thoroughly enjoyed because half of the other Swifty team thought I was playing with them. I was like, nah, like I'm over here. And they're like, oh, what the hell? Like jumping ship on us because I had played Div 1 with them. Like, I'm not doing that again. I'm not in shape enough for that. And so I was on the other team. And I remember going out in that game and like, this is great because no one is expecting us to do anything. We shouldn't win the game. And then we just did. And we had probably one of the best games we've ever played. And it was just this cohesive unit. And it was like playing greater than the sum of your parts. And it was just like the quintessential team moment of like coming together. And it's a fun rivalry because you've all like played with each other. So um yeah, I
Yeah,
love that.
that's a great one. Just before you launch into your next favorite memory, I just wanted to give some additional context for those watching. That was Mondays at Louis Real Gloucester. I put in two teams, one that plays in a Division One and one that normally plays in the Division Two. And there was a season in which both teams played in Division Two. And so the original long-standing team, the one that I started with when I founded the club, like in 2010, they're the ones that play in Division Two now. And the sum of the parts that Erica is talking about, that you're talking about, that's comes from years and years and years of having played together. And then there was our team, which had a lot of talented players, and I was on that team. And I'm not going to lie to you, I 100% expected us to win that game. And then you guys beat us. It was like a narrow victory. It was like 9-8 or 9-7. But you guys played really, really well. And I remember thinking to myself, like, wow, these guys are really good. Like, what's going on here? But that was a really fun game. Like, that was a really great experience to be able to do just friends versus friends, and nobody's going out to kill each other.
Yeah, like it was just like a really competitive game, but also one of the friendliest games I've ever played. Like it was like the perfect like meshing of those two moments, and it was just like, yeah. And to come out on top, it just felt great because I knew like there was no expectations, and like it was nice to be the underdog in that situation and come out on top.
100%. 100%.
Yeah. My other memory is not related to soccer, but the time I got to see people who play soccer try and play another sport, which was, I think, what was it? The volleyball tournament you put in a team. I think it's OSSC.
The Sand Jam. Yeah.
Yeah. And for people who don't know, I used to play really competitive volleyball in my youth, which is why I'm 5'10". It's not that surprising. So yeah, I used to play for the University of Winnipeg for 2 years, and then and then I just didn't play for a long time, and then have gone back into it in the last couple of years. And so I came out and played a recreational sand jam tournament with people I play soccer with, and it was just I I had so much fun. It was great, and it was also just everyone moved really well because they're all soccer players. But I can't remember who it was, but one like you get really dirty and dusty and everything. I'm like, I just drink it in. I'm just used to that. And someone was just like, oh, there's so much like dirt. I need to wash off like my feet. And I'm just like covered head to toe in like all this dirty sand. I'm like, wow, like all days later. So it was yeah, we made it to the finals, which was incredibly shocking. But the other team had this 6'7" guy, and I was like, oh, we gotta win when he's in the back, or this is not gonna go up. So you're defeated in the recreational league of with this league.
Sometimes I look up because I'm remembering things, and I was just remembering we were leading in that final. We won the first set and we lost the next two. So now I'm just like, but yeah, that was a good time. And like you and Nathan Dubord are both people that like, I know Dubord, he's a pretty competitive person. I can't remember whether he played competitive volleyball, but he was definitely like up there. And then I know Danielle, who was also playing on the team, she played volleyball throughout high school. But I had zero experience playing volleyball. I just kind of did it for fun. And there was like a moment, like here's a sad story / very funny story. When I was in high school, grade 10, that was the first year I came to Canada. And I tried out for a lot of sports to see, what I would end up playing in. And I went to try out for volleyball after a friend was just like, hey, you should really come try out. I was like, sure. There were 13 people that tried out. 12 made it. You can guess who did not. So that was really funny. And the coach for the volleyball team, such a nice guy. He came up to me and he's like, you could tell he had a really hard time just like being like, you're just not keeping up as well as the other players. And I'm like, yeah, don't worry. Like, I'm okay. Like, I'm just gonna just thank you for the opportunity. Like,
oh my God. Oh, that's funny. Yeah, no, I think there was one play. Like you did well. You struggled a little bit here and there, but there's one play you're just like so intense, and you just like one hand dove and got the ball up, and I just like I think I stopped playing because I couldn't believe what I had just witnessed. I was just like, that was the most like that's very hard to do. And then you just went back to like slapping the ball, and then like immediately after that, I'm like, okay. But there's like a sparkling moment for you. I was like, oh, good job. Way to go.
I really appreciate you remembering it for me because I do not remember that, but that's great.
Yeah. No, there was also, I think I hit the ball, and I can hit the ball very hard. I have good technique, and I think I hit it at about 40%. And then everyone on the team was just like, oh my God, that's amazing. And I'm like, you have no idea. I'm like, yeah. That was good. Trust me on that.
So what you're saying is that if you had played at 100%, we would have won that final. So yeah, Erika, I have you to blame for not going 100%.
Yeah, no, there are too many people up near and on the net. I'm like, I'm not breaking an ankle for this. Sorry. Yeah. If it was intermediate, I might have, but not for recreational sand jams.
Oh boy, how dare you. All right, I need to change topics. I can't do this anymore. How have you been keeping busy during the pandemic?
Ooh, so I'm still work from home. So that takes up some time. And then I go for a walk every single day. Right. Like as soon as like work is done to like separate like work from everything else, I'm like, hey, go for your nice like hour-long walk, get outside and enjoy the fresh air. And then I've been binge watching some Netflix, such as Tiger King, as everyone else, I think.
Yeah.
And then my newest one, which was like me and all my friends back in Winnipeg, all my friends who are girls are watching this show called Too Hot to Handle.
Yes, my boss just came out. My boss is watching that one too. It's funny how these shows are like, they're still very popular. Like guilty pleasures are still very popular. And like Tiger King, I wish I had watched Tiger King. I still haven't gotten around to it because then I would be able to converse with you about something that everyone has watched. But yeah, Carol Baskins did it. That's the only thing I know from me. Carol Baskins did it. She did it, guys.
I think you just need, like, as your next hairstyle, grow out your hair, bleach it, and turn it into a mullet. I think that's all you need to know is like that's the hairstyle that's going to be very popular soon, and you need to get on the bandwagon. Get rid of the tubes, bring in the mullet. That's the important part.
I'm just gonna pack my hair even tighter in my little toque here. I actually I do have one thing I'd like to share for Tiger King that maybe people will find interesting. So there's a chat at work, and one of the people was like, "I don't think Carol Baskins did it." I'm like, "What? What do you mean? What do you think she did?" I think the husband was involved in like the cartel and the drug deals, and he faked his death because he owed money and he escaped, and he's now hiding away in some third world country from criminals. Okay, could be, like, I guess. So that's a theory.
I like that theory. I like the fan theories coming out. I sense a podcast. I feel like there's going to be a podcast all just about Carol Baskin, whether she did it, and they're going to go through all the evidence, and it's going to be absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, that's, you know what? That could be a great idea. When I went like that just now, it's me thinking, should I start a podcast?
I'm surprised you don't already have one. And then I will then just be featured on the podcast as well, and it'll be this exact same thing, but sans video. Like, I feel like that is you're like, ooh. And then next week we will have a podcast following up the video with your guests.
Like one of those, you know, talking Walking Dead. It could be like talking Getting to Know, and then we just go little things that we talk about.
I like that. And then we can go through your entire volleyball history, and then go through each point one by one. I think that's a great suggestion.
I think it's a great idea too. Maybe not so much for the people listening, but just for like the people that are talking. It's just like, I feel like that's how Joe Rogan got started. He was just like, I just want to talk to people and put it out in the air and see who listens. And then it turns out everybody wants to listen. So it's just like,
if you speak long enough, maybe someone will tune in. That's how I think it goes.
Yeah, I'm just thinking here. I'm thinking here because I asked Adele this question and he threw me to the wolves. But what member would you go to war with?
So I'm going to have to go with my girl. I have to go with Steph. And this is my reasoning is we've been through a lot together. We've been through many teams together. We know each other from our masters, and both of us had terrible times in our master's degrees. We both have passed, and now we are technically both have masters now. Took a really long time, but we both got there. And so, yeah, thank you. So it's been a long road. I think we've both been through lots, and I'm like, I know she'd have my back. And so that's the type of person I think you want to have when going to war. So that's who I'd pick, I think.
It's a terrific answer, and so shout out to Steph. I believe she had her child a few months ago, if I'm not mistaken. So
she had Philip on, I think it was the 8th of March. Right. So the little guy is now a month old. He looks very cute, except for with what's going on, I can't go visit, which sucks. So we keep texting, and she keeps posting very adorable photos of her little guy. And so mom and baby are healthy, so which is excellent.
That's excellent news. Yeah, I'll have to touch base with her. I've messaged her a few times, but I'm assuming with the newborn, she's been very busy and exhausted to get back to me. Which is fine. My feelings are not hurt. We're going to move on quickly because I don't want to talk about Steph anymore. Which club member do you think has no shame?
I wanted to say you. Just because I think you'd be like, what? And I'm like, yeah, I think it would be you. I'm fairly comfortable.
Interesting, but okay. What club member do you think is an undercover amazing dancer? Which club member, pardon me?
Ooh, I think this is partially someone I would want to see dance. I think Amy
Ooh.
actually has very good moves. Because she is also like, I don't know, like at her end of year thing, she just like comes out and everyone's always like in their soccer, whatever. And then she's just like very glamorous. I'm like, oh, I feel like she has secret dance moves that she just hasn't shared with the rest of us, but it's just like hidden in there. That's what I think.
Okay, very interesting answer. I love these interesting answers that people came up with. Like Adele said Mike, you say Amy. Okay.
Yeah.
Actually, this was the question that Adele said he would want to do with me. It wasn't the war one. It was, which member would you want to escape from prison with?
I remembered that I was watching that episode earlier and I was laughing at he chose you because he could outrun you, basically was his thought process. I went through like a different thought, which was I'd want Kat to help me escape by baking a cake with a file in it and then bringing it to me so that I could make my escape. Like I feel like she could help me through her baking skills, and I would be like an old timey like escape artist, like file my way out of the box.
That's really creative. That's really creative and funny, like at the same time. I'm sorry, like my puppy is getting really riled up, so I look a little distracted. I'm only looking down because she's literally nipping at my feet. But that was a very creative answer. I like that whole cake thing. Like the I don't want to say their last names because they may not want that, but Amy and Kat are part of the quartet of sisters that are very, very good at baking, and they often bring cookies or baked goods to their own teams, and sometimes they'll bring it to ours if we're lucky enough. So a big shout out to the sisters.
That is also a favorite memory. Favorite memory is anytime they bring baking, and then I just completely undo any calories I just burned playing soccer. And they're like, you could bring some home for someone else. I'm like, that's not even gonna make it into my apartment. Like, that's all gonna be eaten by the time I get home. Oh, it's delicious.
Yeah, it's very difficult. Who is the most hilarious club member for you?
So I don't think I can pick one person because there's like a quartet of men on the one team who I feel like just riff off of each other, which is like Nathan, Mike, Oren, and Jamie.
Yeah.
Just have a great time, and they just like one will say something and then they'll add something to it, and then and they keep going. And one of my favorite people to stand beside is Mike because he always makes comments that are very quiet, and only the person who's like right in the vicinity around him can hear him. But he's very funny, and I'm like, oh, that was a good one. But it's like only me chuckling, and I was like, why are you laughing? I was like, oh, I think you did not hear him. He's so funny.
Yeah, that's actually very, very true. Like they are very funny as a group, and we play together every Sunday. Well, I join in. They play every Sunday night, Fortnite, for like 3 hours, and I'll listen in, and they'll just say like ridiculous things to each other as they're playing. So it's definitely a highlight of the week. They're very, very funny. So I would agree with you on that reasoning. What's one good thing to come out of this pandemic situation for you?
So I wanted to have like, I don't know, I'm like, oh, let's have like this beautiful, like enlightening moment. And then I'm like, I realize I'm like your first female guest, and I feel like this would jive with all the other women of not having worn a bra for probably a month.
Wow.
And it's freaking awesome. Like it's like the best part. Just like I literally was on a walk with other girls today for my volleyball team, play women's on Tuesdays. And I'm like, yeah, so have you not like worn a real bra either? Like, oh heck no. Like absolutely not. There's no reason to. It's cold outside, you've got baggy sweaters on. When you're in your apartment, you don't have to see anyone. So it's just like, oh, and then we're like, I don't know how we're gonna wear real bras in like when you have to go back to the rest of society. So it's been pretty great. That's a benefit.
That's a really that's not an answer I was expecting. So I thank you for sharing that with the world. And you got me thinking about like things I don't have to worry about. That's very.
What? You don't have to worry about putting your bra on in the morning and going to work?
It's been a few years, but no. um, Erika, it's been really fun catching up with you and getting to know you. I think I really think I'm starting to think that a podcast would be a good idea because there's so many little threads that you've dropped that I would have loved to have developed a little bit more, and we'll have to do that sometime. But I think we've reached the part of the show, which has now become my favorite part of the show, called Pivot's 10 Questions. And I'm not going to explain what they are again because, people should know what they are at this point. Rapid fire. We're just going to go bam, bam, bam. Answer with whatever comes to your mind.
Okay.
First question. What is your favorite word?
I have two. So I wanted to use the word joy because I think this is like a time when it's very difficult for a lot of people, but it's also really important. And then I also had another one, which is a much boring answer, which is moderation. Because one of my life is moderation. So one of my life mottos, which is not particularly exciting, is everything in moderation. So it doesn't matter if it's exercise, sitting on the couch, sleeping, drinking, smoking, whatever, everything that you do in life should be done in moderation, right? In kind of life balance and that kind of spiritual vibe there. So I was thinking today, I'm like, moderation, I think, is a good word, especially now too. So there you go.
Those are very the only word that's coming to mind now is those are very cute answers. Very, very, very nice. Just nice. They're just nice answers.
I think that's how most people on the teams describe it. It's like, she just seems nice. She's a nice person.
What is your least favorite word?
Sorry, Justin Trudeau. Moist. I hate the word moist. Yeah, speaking moistly is not, I was like, ooh.
That's got to be one of the most uncomfortable things anyone has ever heard. And I'm so glad it's become meme material. There's the whole thing that was going out, speak moistly to me. And then there was a remix song of him saying moistly. I think that was golden.
Oh, that's great.
What turns you on?
People who are confident and self-assured. So people who know who they are and are comfortable being themselves.
Well, that nixes me. What turns you off?
People who are really cocky. So kind of people who think they're fucking shit's the best. And then it's also especially poignant when you're playing sports, especially co-ed sports, when guys oh, I'm so good, and then they lose the ball every time they try and go up the pitch. And you're like, yeah, anytime you want to pass it, that'd be great. So yeah, cockiness is not a good thing.
And that's fair enough. Just like with your words, very, very nice, very cute. Your likes and dislikes are also along the same line. So that's consistency is key there. What sound or noise do you love?
So this is a very poetic answer, but especially because I've been going for a lot more walks recently. There's a particular sound that happens when wind goes through branches of trees. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of like this rustling sound, and you can hear it a lot more because there's not as much din from traffic and stuff. And especially because I often go for walks by myself, it's actually you're more attuned to the sounds of nature, if you will, because there's not other distractions. So that's actually a really wonderful kind of sound that you get to hear and kind of appreciate more because of the situation that's going on.
That's really nice, and I agree with you. That's a really, really nice sound that you get as you're walking or biking or any sort of exercise, if you can catch that quickly. And yeah, that's a good one. What sound or noise do you hate?
There's construction happening outside my apartment, and it's jackhammering, and it happens from about 7:30 in the morning till about 4:30. Monday to Friday, and it's been like this since I started working. So that is not my favorite noise right now. And I try and drown it out with stuff. And it's just like, oh. So I really look forward to 4:30 p.m. when that stops and it's a lot quieter and more peaceful.
Yeah, I would kill myself.
It's been so frustrating. Like, oh, like I'm gonna just like go over here and just like, I don't know, put a pillow around. Yeah, it's pretty awful.
Yeah. Oh, what is your favorite curse word?
I like saying BS. Or
Okay.
bullshit. That one's a good one. But also, I have a friend of mine where we've taken that and we refer to it as horse caca, which I just find really funny. So instead of bullshit, it's horse caca.
That's very interesting. Okay.
I don't think anyone else does that, but it's a nice inside joke between the two of us. And so whenever anyone, like one of us says BS, they're like, no. And then they say the other one. So, yeah.
Okay. What profession other than your own would you like to try?
I'd be interested in becoming a writer. I took in my undergrad like creative writing courses, and I've always had like an interest in becoming a writer, but just don't have like the drive necessarily to do that because it's kind of like a risky profession. You don't know how people are gonna kind of accept your writing and that kind of thing. So yeah, I'll be a writer.
Have you ever written any stories?
So, funny thing happening right now. One of the things I'm spending time doing, or my goals for 2020 was to become bilingual, which that is very difficult, especially right now. And then my other goal was to write every single day because it was something I really enjoy, something I got away from because I was busy writing for my thesis. So you don't really want to write. Me and my friend back home in Winnipeg started a writing kind of group. And so we share writing back and forth, and we did like a little workshop together yesterday. So yeah, I do like creative writing stories and random stuff. I don't really share it anymore, but yeah, I do some writing on the side.
That's really cool. I apologize again. I had to take something out of Lily's mouth. She was chewing on something she should not have been.
That's okay. She's very cute, so I accept it.
But yeah, that's really neat that you're able to share that experience with people, and just develop that. Like it does take like you could even just write for fun, right? Like it takes discipline just to sit down and just to do it, and then you got to edit it and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and like sharing your work with other people like is like a practice and like being vulnerable with other people. Because it's like here I am, I'm exposing like this way I view the world, and now you're like opening yourself up for criticism. So
Yeah.
I just write for fun, but it's been nice to like share that work with someone that I trust and get along with really well. And yeah, I kind of like get a different perspective and ideas by like sharing with other people. It's pretty cool.
That is cool. What profession would you never want to do?
Bus driver.
Oof,
Hands down.
that was
I
quick.
would never, like, never, every time. I don't like public transit. I just don't like it, which is why I walk all the time everywhere.
Okay.
Um, but also, every single time I go on the bus, I just am reminded why I would never want that job. Like, you have people swear at you, you got people who are just like awful. I've been on buses where people are like intoxicated and they're belligerent, and you have to take them off the bus. You have to sit for like a million years. And
Mm,
like with COVID stuff, then you're like frontline service and having to be exposed to all kinds of stuff and limited like protection for things. So I'm like, and they don't get paid like a lot of money. So I think it's just all around. They have to do shit all the time, and I feel for them. And I have a lot of respect for people who do that job. I wouldn't want to do it.
yeah, that's yeah, I was just thinking like back I took public transit for a lot of years, and then now I started not in the last few months, but then I recently started taking it again. And Yeah, it is a different world. Like, it's a different world. It's the world of people on public transit and the world of people who are in their own vehicles. And it's, I think the most fascinating thing for me was how quickly I forgot what it was like to be a rider. And then I went back on, and after a few bus rides, I was like, oh yeah, that's right. This is what it was like. And
Yeah, it's
my
also
brain
just
blocked the
there's
negative.
always like that one person you're just like, oh, and then if you don't see that person, it's probably that you're that person on the bus. You know, you're just like, there's so many weird things. You're like, why is this person carrying their cat on the bus with them or eating some tuna? And you're like, why? But it's public transit, so it just makes sense in that space and
Yeah.
in no other no other context. So yeah, it's interesting.
Okay. Okay. And now we have reached the last question. If heaven exists, what would you want God to say when you reach the pearly gates? So, what would you want Him to say to you, or
Um,
her, or God, him, her, whatever God is?
the entity that is capital G. I don't necessarily know if I need that to say anything to me necessarily. I just like if a person was just like, welcome. I think that's kind of just like simple and nice. And then I'm like, I was trying to think, and I was like, maybe like, you tried your best. And just like an affirmation, like, you did the best that you could with the things that you had in your life. And I think that's kind of like a nice reaffirmation as you're kind of entering that space. But I don't know. I feel like if you live your life in such a way where you're happy with the things that you're doing, you don't necessarily need anything, even that being to like reaffirm anything for you.
That's a very interesting answer. I really like this question because I've had three very interesting, very different answers. So, thank you for sharing that with everyone. And I want to thank everyone for taking time out of their day to get to know Erica. Uh, yeah, so by the time you're viewing this, it is Wednesday evening. Please send me in your TP challenge videos if you have not already. And I will be out with another episode on Sunday afternoon. We're going to keep going at the rate of 2 episodes a week until people don't want to be interviewed anymore. And thank you so much, Erica. It was a pleasure. All right, everybody. Adios.
Thank you. And I feel like this would jive with all the other women of not having worn a bra for probably a month. And it's
Wow.
friggin' awesome. Like, it's like the best part.